We are here to talk about confident parenting. And this is my question and the reason for today. If this is part of your life, you are definitely in the right place. Your kids aren't listening. You're over worrying. You have possibly some anxiety, or your children are experiencing some anxiety. And in the situation that we're currently in, it's not surprising that we have a lot of anxiety. I am very busy as a hypnotherapist dealing with student, parent, child anxiety of late. Unfortunately, I have a lot of great ways to deal with that and eliminate it. Are you finding that you're rereading parenting books over and over again? You read a book, you get really excited, and then you try it, and then you forget, and you have to go back and reread it, and it's time consuming and frustrating, and it adds to more anxiety and stress in the home. Do you find yourself second guessing yourself a lot as a parent? Wondering if you're doing enough for your kids? Or are you concerned about your child's self-esteem or confidence? Are you trying to keep up with the Joneses? This is kind of a funny little picture here, and I'm just going to tell a very brief little story about this. When I have two children myself, when one of my children, my older child, was about, I'd say second or third grade, I was trying to keep up with the Joneses, and I was trying to be a good parent. And so I thought, like a lot of people, I'll put him in a lot of activities, let him try different things, see what he likes. And my very wise little boy came to me and said, "Mom, it's too much. I don't want to do all this stuff. It's too much. It's stressing me out." So sometimes we really need to listen to our very wise and very brilliant children. They're really, out of the mouths of babes, we can really gain some tremendous wisdom. And that is one of the major causes of parental stress and anxiety, is overscheduling. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But here's what we're going to take away from today. Very important. How to communicate with your child. I know, seems impossible. How to communicate with your child so they will listen. We're going to actually give you a takeaway that you're going to use today. You can try it out today. How to lessen your child's anxiety and yours. How to have more energy and less exhaustion. How to instill more confidence in your children, and how to minimize worry and stress and have more calm. And why are we doing this? Because we all need more freedom, more connection, and more joy and peace. We want to enjoy our family. We want to have good quality time. Even in difficult circumstances, we can achieve more freedom, more connection, and more joy and peace in our households. And that's why we're here today. And how? How are we going to do this? We're going to be learning 4 things today. We're going to be learning about suggesting, using suggestion. So this means that we're going to be learning how to make suggestion to our family members so that they can listen better. We're going to be doing some understanding. We're going to be talking about something I call the Great Divide. Understanding the dynamic between parents and children, and why we sometimes have conflicting, clashing moments with them when we're trying to help them, and why they won't listen when we're trying to help them in particular. We're going to talk about reframing a lot. Reframing meaning reframing how you think about things, and we'll talk about why that is and why that's so important. And we're going to talk about reclaiming our authority in the home. So, benefits that we're going to have today, or benefits that we want to have. We want more confident kids. There's nothing more heartbreaking than watching your child struggle with low self-esteem, low confidence. We want better behavior and listening, because that's going to give us more confident parenting and more confident kids. We want less stress. We want more joy. It's a very short time that we're here on the planet. The more joy and the less stress we have, especially in our family, the better. And the more bonded and cohesive our family will be. And that's always a win. So I'm just going to share with you here a little, oh, whoops. Hopefully, I want this to play. There's a little video here. There we go. Just somebody that has worked with me. Let's see if we can hear this.
We saw some results. I'm telling you, immediate. It hasn't gone back. I mean, at all. Her confidence and her, like, she's no longer like locking herself in the house with safety. Like, the safety thing has really changed, which I didn't expect at all. I really thought that would take a very long time, but the safety, like, she would never, as a 13-year-old, stay home by herself, ever, never. So imagine that. But yeah, she stays home by herself. Like, you all go do it. I'm going to play my music. I'm going to take a shower while you're gone. So that's huge. I really can't say enough about the quick results. That is what I was surprised about. Very quick. You know, therapy takes some time, but this was quick. Yeah. I say that the amount of time she spends on her homework has drastically reduced. And I say that in a good way. It gets done. She's a 3-day student. And before, it was just so many hours redoing and the self-loathing, and this isn't good enough and it should be better. Like, that has calmed down a lot, and that just took up so much of her time. But now she realizes, like, what she's doing is enough. She turns it in, she sees the results, and that's for validation, because she really didn't have validation from herself, but she's validating herself, but she's also getting validation from her teachers, and she's getting validation from us at home. I have her, I picked this up years ago with her anxiety and some of these fears. And I met with her teachers not too long ago, and I had her some accommodations at school for, like, literally just for anxiety, just for extended time and state testing, because it was just the amount of stress she would put on herself was unbelievable. So I asked them, I met with them, and they said, Carly is doing amazing. And they're like, she's much calmer. Like, she's not like double checking, like, obsessively. But the amount of, she's still getting extended time. She probably doesn't even need it at this point, but I still have it as a buffer. But they're like, she really is like, she's like a new kid. I mean, for our family, it was a game changer. That's what I call it. Really a game changer. Without medication. This is without intensive therapy, because I'm not against medication. I mean, there's times for it, but I feel like numbing her out wasn't an option right now. Still, she's going to take it into life. This is beyond high school and even college, but this is a tool she's going to have for life. And I always think, like, how many people would benefit, if they could have that intervention for all of us, even as adults, to have this intervention early on in life. Like, can you imagine our own thoughts and where we would be and not have to have all that going on? Her future is anything she wants it now. There's nothing in the way. There's no barriers. She can do whatever she wants, but the fact that she knows it is the best part. I've always known it, but now she realizes it. So I'm so blessed that you came into our life. You changed her life and our lives. So for that, I am just grateful.
All right. So that was a client, a parent, obviously, of mine, and just wanted to share with you that very powerful transformation in this 13-year-old and her family's life as a result of the work that I'm talking about today. So, what would life be like for you and your family as a parent if you could be free of this constant second guessing and this exhaustion of constantly doubting your decisions, feeling that guilt constantly? It's just exhausting. And what would life be like if you had confidence in your decision making, in your choices as a parent, in your authority as a parent, and if you were modeling that for your children? What would life be like? What would life look like? So I just want to give you a chance to think about that. And while you do, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me. Now, many of you already know me, but for those that are listening on the replay or who are watching this live on Facebook, tell you a little bit about who I am. So, again, my name is Melissa Boher Jacobson. I am a confident life coach and a hypnotherapist. I got started as a performing arts coach, and I used skill building. I had sort of this magic ability to transform particularly teenagers and kids into more confident versions of themselves. And it sort of came naturally to me, and I was using a lot of skills, but I did this over about a 20-year period, became also studied to be a school psychologist at one time, and was a classroom teacher for a long time. So I really have a lot of deep dive into psychology and developmental stages, and I've worked with kids K through 12 and adults. So I know a lot about developmental psychology. And I used all of these techniques to for very good results. And there are several people on the call who know exactly how I do what I do and have experienced it. But I wanted to go deeper, and I wanted to understand what I was doing. I knew that I was instilling a lot of self-esteem and confidence in the people I was working with, but I wanted to know how I was doing that, and I wanted to do better, and I wanted to do more. And so by kind of a happy accident, I stumbled across a method of hypnotherapy that combines psychology and science and cognitive behavioral therapy and something called neurolinguistic programming and hypnosis. And it just is the magic bullet, if you will. It's just been amazing. And since I've been certified as a hypnotherapist, I've really been able to free so many parents and children of unnecessary, unwanted issues. And even in the midst of a horrible global pandemic, people are thriving and feeling happier in their life than maybe they ever have. And certainly there's a lot of people suffering in this time, but I'm blessed that I've been able to help a lot of people navigate through this time and be very happy in spite of the circumstances. And that's really what I'm here to do. Who do I help? I help parents, children. I specialize in tweens, teens, and parents, but I work with people of all ages. And what I do is I empower people who have an unwanted issue to be rapidly and permanently, as you heard in the video before, to rapidly and permanently for life be freed of that unwanted issue so that they can thrive and have happiness, confidence, calm, and success. So this is another parent that I worked with. This is Liz. She came to me last summer, I think it was, and really had incredible results. And this is what she had to say about not only her experience, but the impact that she came to me really for her own confidence. She was going through a major life change, and she was a very accomplished professional, but she was struggling with a lot of negative thinking, overwhelm. She has a special needs child, and she was really struggling. And within a month of working with me, this is the transformation, not only for her, but for her child, for her children as well. So she says, I feel much more free, relaxed, and confident. And my kids, including my special needs child, have benefited, this is my favorite part, the kids, making incredible progress academically and socially just because I am more relaxed and confident as a mom. My boss has noticed how much more confident, relaxed, and effective I am. Now, my favorite part, and this isn't written here, but my favorite part that Liz told me was that she was able to stop over-parenting, even with her special needs child. She was able to find time to sit and read a book and to do self-care, and that they were getting better. They were thriving academically and socially, and she was still able to take time to nurture herself. So that was a fantastic example. So why is parenting so hard, and why it's good that you are here? Well, parenting to me is the most rewarding, and it's the greatest blessing and honor in my lifetime to be a parent. But it is hard because there is no manual. There's books. We've all read the parenting books. Yes, and they're fantastic. And by the way, what I do supports you in using those techniques in those books. So we'll talk about that. But one of the reasons that makes parenting difficult, there's a lot of things that make it difficult, but it's fear, our own history, our own parenting that we received, um, and mainly because most of us are not given any information on the subconscious part of being a human and how that affects our parenting, how it affects our own self image, our own self concept, our own self belief, and how the subconscious manifests and affects our children and how it affects their experience and their self beliefs. Modern day stress, obviously, our culture, and a lot of myths. There's a lot of myths out there about parenting, and it's very hard for people to separate the myths from the science and the facts and the reality. And it gets very overwhelming and confusing. And it's good that you're here because I'm going to give you some simple ways to make parenting easier today. All right. Now, one of the issues that comes up a lot when we're parenting is a form of, there's different anxiety. Sometimes anxiety gets misunderstood, but we worry, we stress, and we are anxious as parents a lot. And it saps our energy, and it makes us, it's part of what makes us good parents because we love our children so much. I don't want to turn you into careless parents, but it's kind of one of the ironies of life that the more we worry and stress and the more anxious we are, it's counterproductive to what we're trying to achieve, which is to help our children. So children of anxious parents are being constantly exposed to their parents' anxiety. Excessive worrying is typically part of this parental anxiety. Worrying about the potential for things to go wrong, worrying about the future, what could go wrong in the future. We, even if we don't verbalize these worries, our children are little sponges. They're very, very intuitive. They're brilliant. We way underestimate their brilliance and their intuitive nature. And they absorb, whether you're verbalizing your worries and your stress to them or not, they will model your fears and your concerns. So it's really, really important for parents to learn how to parent with more confidence and less worrying and anxiety because we want to raise the most healthy children. That's our goal. So children learn and model their parents. When a parent has a fear or an anxiety, the children, that's what their job is to model, and they learn that. And it can lead them to have very crippling anxiety in the future, and that's not what we want. And by the way, this is from a website called Strategic Psychology, just citing where that came from. What we don't want, we want our children to be healthy and strong and confident and balanced and happy and healthy, both physically and emotionally and mentally. We don't want mental, physical, and emotional ill health. It's exhausting for one as a parent. It's exhausting to deal with it in the now, but also it could resonate for years and years. And we don't want that. We want obviously you wouldn't be here if you didn't want a great future for your child. So it's not your fault. So let's just make sure you understand that we have so much stress and guilt as parents. I want you to know you are all phenomenal, wonderful parents. So let's just tell you that right now. Just own that. Do you make mistakes? Of course you do. But this anxiety and this worry and this stress and this exhaustion, it's not because of you. There's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with your family unit, nothing wrong with your kids. It's human design. It's the way we're designed. So, but it's a default design that we can override, and we can have a much better experience when we understand the default and we understand how to override that default. And if I know I'm talking a lot, and if you have questions, please go ahead and just post them in the Q&A, and I'm going to get to them afterwards. I feel you. As I said before, I'm a parent too, and I felt all of these things: the overwhelming guilt, the second guessing, all of these things I have experienced as a parent. I'm happy to say I have two really happy kids now. They survived my parenting, thank God, and they're doing extremely well. But I totally understand how this feels. I can totally relate to it, but I have found a better way, and I do want to share that with you. And that is understanding the power of the subconscious mind in parenting. Kids with calm, confident parents have more confidence, more self-esteem. They're happier, they're calmer, and they're better at regulating their emotions. And there's nothing more exhausting than having emotional ups and downs in your home, especially when you're stuck inside during a pandemic. So why is this new to me? You might be asking yourself this question. It's not new to me, but it might be new to you. What am I learning that's new? Okay, so as a hypnotherapist, what we typically read about and learn as parents is typically based on more traditional therapy. And traditional therapy is phenomenal and fantastic. However, the difference between traditional therapy typically and hypnotherapy is that as a hypnotherapist, I'm all about finding the root cause of an issue and finding the origin of it and eliminating that issue so you are rapidly and permanently free of it. It's typically a 1 to 3 month process, and then it's done, and then I miss you, but I say goodbye and let you fly. Whereas in traditional therapy, it's more of like an ongoing, if you don't keep coming to therapy, you're not going to be okay without me. Sometimes, not always, but it's just a different model. And hypnotherapy is all about getting to the root cause that is living in the subconscious mind. So we're going to begin now, and I'm going to get a little bit deeper into an explanation of that. So the conscious and the subconscious, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, and its effect on our self-image. So this relates to both parents and children. All human beings create their self-image is largely a function of their beliefs about themselves that are established in their child, typically established early on in childhood. So as a parent, your children are establishing their self-image now, and the way that you as a child establish your self-image and the way that they are currently doing it is through the interpretation of their experiences. When children are very young, their perspective is that the world revolves around them, and they're also functioning on an emotional level, not a logical level. So when something happens, they have an experience, perhaps it could be a positive experience, and they get an interpretation of that positive experience, and it creates a healthy, positive self-image. That's awesome. But a lot of times we have a negative experience, and because we think that we are the center of the world as a child, we might interpret that negative experience as being our fault or about us. And we might develop a belief system that would typically fall into one of 4 categories. I'm not enough, I'm different, I'm not lovable, or something is not available to me. So we develop these beliefs out of the interpretation of an experience or multiple experiences. And then that belief becomes a permanent operating system that lives in our subconscious mind. And I'll explain what that is in a moment. But unlike this or the computer that we're on today, our subconscious operating systems that we develop, with these beliefs or operating systems that we develop in childhood about ourselves, as we get older, they do not automatically upgrade or update themselves. So we might get a belief about ourselves when we're 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 or 11, and that belief system, that operating system, does not get updated. So I could be a 44-year-old person and still be operating out of a belief system I acquired when I was a child. And in addition to that, the way the human mind works, and by the way, let me just quickly define the mind. When I say the mind, I am literally talking about our thoughts, our capacity for thought. The brain is the organ that, the vital organ that runs our body and is in charge of our thinking processes, all of our processes. And so when we talk about the mind, we're really talking about the thoughts. We have a huge capacity for thought, but we're only conscious of about 5% of our thought capacity. 95% of our thought capacity is underneath the hood in what we call the subconscious, and we're not even aware of most of that. It's a huge database, and it stores every single experience we've ever had. And in addition, I always have to read this because it's so much that I forget how much is on the subconscious side. The subconscious mind is what we call our habitual mind. Our creative mind, or our conscious mind, absorbs 40 bits of information per second, and that includes our normal waking state of consciousness, our personal identity and spirit, our short-term memory, positive thinking, our ability to wish and desire, our alertness, our concentration, focus, cognition, and our senses. The subconscious mind is 95% of our thought capacity. It processes 40 million bits of information per second, and that's where we have our habits, skills, programs, and beliefs, our long-term memory, our emotions, our feelings, habit patterns, relationship patterns, addictions, involuntary body functions, creativity, developmental stages, spiritual connections, intuition, and instinct are all part of the subconscious mind. That's a lot of information. The subconscious mind's job is to help you survive. That is its number one function. Now, one of the things about thought, the human mind, is we process typically about 80 to 90,000 thoughts per day. And 90% of those 80 to 90,000 thoughts per day are repeated thoughts. So that is why if we acquire a belief system when we're very young, it's on repeat 80 to 90,000 times per day. And that is why issues that we create when we're very young get worse as we get older. And that is why it is so important as a parent that you're aware of this, because you want to create these positive belief systems, these positive self-beliefs for your child. And it's not happening on a conscious level, it's happening on a subconscious level. So I'm going to move on because the rules of the mind, maybe I'll get into that in the question and answer period, but just a couple of quick rules of the mind. That your mind responds to the images and the words that you give it. It learns by repetition. Whatever you present to your mind will present back to you. And one really interesting thing is that every single thought you have produces an emotional and a physical response. And what we really need to learn is how to talk to the mind, to tell our mind what we want, not what we don't want. The power, this is what I'm talking about when I say the power of suggestion. The way that we language our thoughts goes directly to our subconscious mind, and it gives our subconscious mind direct suggestions. It tells our subconscious mind what to do, and it's very, very powerful. For example, I have a client that, I'll tell you a cute little story about this. I use this a lot with my clients when they say they can't remember something, and I say, tell yourself, say these words, and try repeating this to yourself right now or whenever you can't remember something. It's easy and effortless for me to remember every word. I have so many stories about this, but I'll tell you a cute one about a 7-year-old. I was teaching her a song, and she said, Miss Melissa, I can't possibly remember all those words. And I said, tell yourself it's easy and effortless for me to remember every word. That is the suggestion that you're going to give your mind. And sure enough, and this happens every time I give this suggestion, sure enough, she tried it again. She remembered 95% of those words, and she self-corrected the words as she went. And she was, of course, as a 7-year-old will do, very amazed and excited, as was I. The Great Divide. This is hearkening back to a previous slide. Oh, we just talked about suggestion, and now we're talking about understanding. The Great Divide is the dynamic between a child and a parent. When you, as a parent, lovingly try to help and coach your child, and your child resists and gets upset and even runs away or shuts down, this is not you, and it is not your child. It is a human design. Children want approval and unconditional love from their parents, and that is really all they want. They want your attention, they want your approval, and your unconditional love. Parents want to help their children, and they show their love by helping them and coaching them and pushing them and scheduling them to learn more and more and more. And when you coach or you tell your child what to do or you try to help them and you get resistance, that's because your child is not hearing your help or your coaching. They're hearing, mom doesn't approve of me, dad doesn't approve of me, I'm not lovable, I'm not enough, and they don't approve of me. All they hear is your disapproval. They don't understand that that's the way that you show your love. And this is a very important concept for parents to understand. Now, let's talk, this is a very, very important tip here. Talking to your kids using suggestion so they will listen. So, when giving instructions to your children, I'm going to give you a very important tip, so get your pencils ready. Watch your language. I know you don't swear at your kids. If you do, don't tell me that you do. But when giving instruction to your children, this is a powerful way of using suggestion so they will listen. You want to language an instruction as a statement, like, if you want them to clean their room, for example, you want to language it as a statement. And this is something that we're going to be learning about in the Confident Parenting Workshop, by the way. You want to language it as a statement, not a question. And nod your head as you say the statement. Nod your head as you say the statement. When you language instruction as a statement, you're actually giving direct instruction to your child's subconscious mind, which is programmed to obey commands, demands, and instructions. So if you structure your language in a way that the mind can easily understand, it's going to be very effective. Children, by the way, are hardwired to model their parents. And when you nod your head, they will instinctively and reflexively do the same, which will tell their mind that they agree with what you are saying. You can also put your hand on the child's shoulder, look them directly in the eye while you're doing this, and state, not ask, what you want them to do. And I want everybody to write this down and try it at home today. So for example, if you say, please clean your room, that is not a statement. Okay? I know it sounds kind of like one, but it isn't. What we want to say is, it is time for you to clean your room. It is time for you to clean your room. And you nod your head while you say it. So I want everybody to give that a try. That's a major takeaway for today. I mentioned modeling. It's very, very important for you to be a model. Not a fashion model, but you can be a fashion model too and be a great parent. But I want you to be a role model. So, what you want your children to do, if you are anxious and you lack self confidence and self esteem, that is what they are going to learn. So, it's very, very important that whatever you want them to do, you really have to commit to modeling that behavior. All right. Causes of anxiety in parents and kids. I just want to go through this list very quickly and just see if you recognize any of these. In parents, feelings of not being enough, imposter syndrome, who am I to know how to do this thing? Comparison to compare is to despair. We're often comparing our children to other kids. We compare ourselves to other parents, financially and otherwise. Competition is a major source of anxiety these days. It's one of the myths that I deal with in the Confident Parenting Workshop. Expectations. Met and unmet expectations cause a lot of anxiety. Perfectionism goes with expectations. Circumstances. We have some major ones. Cute little adorable global deadly pandemic is a nice example. Stress, worry, sleep issues cause a lot of anxiety. And anxiety causes sleep issues, kind of a two-way street. With kids, major sources and causes of anxiety: overscheduling, social media, and not knowing how to, again, talking about this in the Confident Parenting Workshop, how to teach your kids how to have a force field so that negative stuff does not get let in. Sleep issues, bullying, parent mental emotional state, a big cause, huge cause of anxiety, and their subconscious belief systems. We really want to teach you parents how to give them these positive belief systems is absolutely lifelong and crucial. Anxiety busters. I'm going to go quickly through these anxiety busters. Just bear with me here and just put my notes. And I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Forgive me for that. So, anxiety busters. Here we go. No? Where are my notes? Here we go. Okay. So, anxiety is a major, major problem. It's a growing issue, unfortunately. And remote schooling, pandemic, isolation, and more have definitely exacerbated this issue. It's very normal, parents, to have stress and worry, but it reaches like a fever pitch. It has been reaching a fever pitch. So, children as young as 8 months old can experience anxiety, and it's very important to do these things. Minimize overscheduling. Self-praise. Teach your children to self-praise. We want to replace harsh self-criticism. And this is something we want to model as parents, and we're going to learn about this in the Confident Parenting Workshop. How to model self-praise instead of harsh self-criticism, which withers self-esteem and confidence, but self-praise, learning the technique of self-praise, will arm your children with unshakable confidence. Attention. Very important. Even if it's just a half an hour, give your children your undivided attention. They need it as much as they need food. Sometimes we give our kids material things and we give into them a lot, but that's not really what they want. They really don't understand themselves that they really need your undivided attention. Just even a few minutes without interruption from technology can have a huge, huge impact on your child's anxiety level. So that's a wonderful thing to do. Routines are big anxiety busters. Create routines, simple routines, piggyback them together, because when you create routines, you minimize decision stress. Okay, you know what to do. You don't have to think about it. It saves you exhaustion and stress as a parent, as a child. For example, everyone can do homework at a certain time. Parents, I'm going to have a homework hint for you in a slide. I'm just going to give it now. When you sit with your children while they're doing homework, they're going to have better focus and attention on their homework. I know it sounds odd, but they often have a resentment that they're stuck doing homework where the parents have the freedom to just do what they want. So if you can just sit down, even for 15 or 20 minutes while they're doing their homework, do your bills, you'll find that your children will have a better outcome with their homework. Sleep, 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 sleep. Sleep deprivation is a pandemic of its own. It can cause and mimic anxiety, depression, or emotional distress. So in the Confident Parenting Workshop, we're going to be talking about sleep habits, sleep hygiene, strategies. The blue screens destroy the body's natural melatonin, and that's why we need to get rid of the screens in the bedroom. And again, in the workshop, we will talk about that. We already talked about homework hacks. So imagine if this were happening in your house, that you're instilling great self-belief in your children, you're modeling self-confidence and self-esteem, people are getting good sleep. You're like, what would this look like if anxiety were a minimized concept in your house? If you were parenting without guilt and stress, what would that be like? How much more peace, fulfillment, freedom, joy, confidence would be available to you, and what freedom would be available lifelong for your children? Your family could have that. And that's what the Confident Parenting Workshop is all about. And this is what happens in that workshop, which is coming up in March. Mastering communicating with your child so they will listen, permanently letting go of parental self-doubt and guilt, creating unshakable confidence and modeling it for your children, effective techniques to minimize your family stress, minimize parental and child anxiety, empower children to be resilient, resourceful, and independent, balancing work and family without guilt, easily, effortlessly retain parenting techniques without having to reread parenting books, teach you how to use your subconscious mind to easily remember all of your parenting techniques, improve sleep for parents and children, and negotiate issues with power instead of self-doubt and guilt. And now, more than ever, we need to increase calm, joy, and happiness in your family. We have enough to deal with, but we can be very, very happy in any circumstance, and now is the time for that. This workshop, which will start in March, here's the time. It's Thursdays from 8 to 9 p.m. or at your convenience with recorded sessions. It includes easy step-by-step instruction, easy to understand and implement immediately. You see results right away. It's weekly recorded sessions, and it's a fraction of the cost of working with me one-on-one, and it's from the comfort of your home. And it also includes coaching and feedback in a Facebook group. And it is only available to 12 families because we want to make sure that we do not get overwhelmed. We want to really help people in a very targeted and customized way, and that's how we do that. Everything is done for you. It's one module per week. It's short, easy to absorb. Recorded modules are sent weekly, and questions are answered as you go. So I'm going to stop the share, and I'll include a link for you to sign up for a consult to see if this is for you. You can do that by visiting my website, and you can just book a free consult. Super easy and free, and you can find out more about it and find out if this is something that would benefit your family. You're not obligated by any means with that free consult. And you can also find out some of the other ways that I help parents and families.